I've got a harsh truth for you. No one's coming to save you. No one can improve your life but you. Problem is, a lot of people are focused on externals to make them feel whole. They look towards significant others, a dream job, or improved market conditions to make them feel like life is getting better. Problem is, you can't control those externals. What you can control is your internal state, your internal environment, in particular, how you approach your days. Okay. And this episode is focused on a very practical look at your days because your days stack up to become your life. And I'd like to separate days into three parts: mornings, middle, and night. In particular, the way to master your days, I propose here, is that you master your bookends. You take the bookends of morning and night and you own those. That's the point of today. And why do you want to master your bookends? For one simple reason: that's how you create freedom. And not someone else's definition of freedom, but your definition of freedom. That's where you unlock it. Brick by brick, we build towards it. Now, if you're interested in strategies like this and generally how to live uncaged, as I talk about, and create more freedom in your life, check out Wednesday Wisdom at matthewdoan.com. Each week, every Wednesday, I release a new issue of that where I go into deep topics, reviews on how to actually create more freedom in your life and live uncaged, both professionally and personally. All right, let's get into the episode.
Growing up, society taught you to follow the script by choosing a career path and climbing the ladder. But for many people, this promise falls flat. Work suffocates them and life becomes painful. Here, you're trapped in what I call the corporate cage. Fortunately, there's a way out. You can take control of your corporate job and unlock a life of freedom. I call this living uncaged. Hi, this is your host, Matt Doan. I'm a coach, creator, and entrepreneur. Uncaging people is my mission because it's been my exact life journey. This show provides you the stories, principles, and tactics to make it happen. Welcome to Uncage Yourself.
All right, in this episode where we're focused on mastering your bookends of your day, we'll talk about it in two parts. Part one is why your bookends matter, and number two is how to master them. Let's get started. Part one, why your bookends matter. First off, know that this is your dedicated time, especially mornings. We'll come back to that point, but this is where you can develop yourself and unlock freedom brick by brick. We build towards it very methodically. That's how we get better financially, time-wise, purpose-wise, health, relationships. That's how we create our version of freedom, is during these pockets of the day. Let me be clear, the middle of the day. Take Monday through Friday as the general average, where most people aren't able to control that day as much, right? You're working potentially for a corporate employer or someone in general, and at times like that, your time isn't completely your own. I acknowledge that, but there is room to create more freedom within your workday itself. So I would suggest the other episode I have on this called Creating Time Freedom at Work. I'll link to that in the show notes, but that's how you can unlock more freedom within the middle of your day. The focus, though, of this episode is the bookends, the morning and the nights. So that's where we're going to unlock more freedom by getting a lot of control there. So part two then is how to actually master your bookends. There's a few principles I want to start out with. Principle one is we have to manage energy, not time. Energy is our life force. The ability to feel good chemically from a level of awareness, all these things. If we can feel good and have high levels of energy, that is what you need to prioritize. And the behaviors you implement need to be towards creating more energy in your life so that you can proceed through your days in the ways that you hope to. Second principle, think about rituals, not routines. Routines imply things you have to do, things that you might go through the motions on. Ritual implies something you love, an almost personal religious experience that feels out of body because it feels so good. It's something that you really look forward to day after day. We need to create ritual by experimenting our way there so that we have a set of activities that happen most days that give us that energy. Third point, we need to understand the set of things that we need to do each day. And I'll bucket them into two categories: mind and body. Category one, with the mind, we need to be meditative. Sometimes this looks like full scale meditation, like you might have an app that guides you. Other times you might do things that help you be present and be aware and help your breathing. That's the point. It's really breathing and awareness. The more that we can find breathing and awareness and just slow down, that's the point of being meditative. So maybe this actually looks like going for a walk in nature. The Japanese would call this taking a nature bath, but we have to be meditative in some form so that we can calm the mind, be present, slow down time, and remind ourselves what it's like to feel the breath, to actually feel in the present moment. Second piece, journaling or reflection of some sort. We have to have a repeated way to codify the mess. Naval Ravikant would say, extract your monkey mind, which is all the noise and chaos that you think you have control over, but you don't. And you write down what you want or learnings you've had in your life. So by journaling, you can actually go day by day and extract what's going on up there. And writing is a forcing function for thinking. It clarifies your thinking by going from in your mind to on paper. This forces you to get clear with what you want and what you've learned with your life. So journaling, I honestly couldn't recommend highly enough. It's my savior in many ways. That's for another day, though. The third piece to the mind equation, though, is consumption. We have to curate what we let into our mind, the people and ideas. So somehow, if you're going to develop in any category of life, whether it's job skills, personal finance, relationships, communication skills, we have to read. We have to potentially listen to good audio like podcasts or audiobooks. We need to have ways of consuming high quality content that enrich our lives. So that's the mind category. Second category is around the body, walking. Go all the way back to Henry David Thoreau. If you really want to go deep on this, read his essay in The Atlantic on walking and look at some of the greatest minds in history. We know that walking is critically important for being creative, for recharging, resetting, whatever we need in life. A walk actually does so much good, even 5 minutes. I feel this all the time when I need creative juices where I've hit writer's block. I go outside for a 5 minute walk and voila, amazing things happen. Second thing, we need sunlight. The science shows this unequivocally. We need vitamin D and do your best to get it, right? Some days it's cloudy and you might need to go a little bit more extreme. Like I actually have a rather cheap but effective sun lamp. It's an artificial sunlight that comes onto my body in days that I can't go outside. So I use that. But sunlight, not only does it feel good, especially in warm weather, it actually does so much good chemically for your body, gives you energy, gives you ideas, gives you so much. Nutrition. Nutrition could be its own episode and could be endless experts, but you have to figure out something that works for you. I would avoid anything that seems like a diet, which seems like a one-time surge, anything like that. Figuring out how to get more towards whole foods, less processed things, whatever that looks like, figure something out that you can rely on and that is really good for you and actually gives good returns to your body, how you feel, how you look, all those things. And I would make a plug for intermittent fasting. There's lots of studies that show the value of it. But when you're operating in a state of ketosis, you're burning different energy stores than glucose, which is more sugar based energy that burns really quickly. So the more that you can figure out how to try that, I think you'll get a lot of value. Personally, I do 16 hours off of not eating, and then I do an 8 hour window from 12 to 8 p.m. where I eat pretty much whatever I want. But of course, I have my own guardrails of things I will and won't eat. But I really enjoy that 8 hour window right there. And the last piece to body is working out. This is more than just walking. This is physical exertion. And in particular, we need to go beyond pure cardio activity. We need to be building muscles through strength training. Lots of sources out there, lots of science based studies on why this is important. But from a longevity, an aging standpoint, energy, your creative mind, it all gets improved through strength training. So build muscle, and you can do it in lots of ways that feels interesting to you. So that's generally how to think about the principles, right? Between managing energy, thinking about rituals, not routines. And then lastly, we need to have two categories of things: mind activities and body activities. That needs to be fitting into our bookends of our day, however we can. So that's the bucket of things to consider. Now, here's my general suggestion on how to do this based on lots of experimentation and talking to people and reading books and studies. Know this: conquer your mornings and do what you can at night. Hopefully, that sounds manageable enough. Think of it like this: in the mornings, as an adult, if you look at average human longevity, James Clear had a great article about this where you will have roughly 25,000 mornings to create a well lived life. So it's especially important because how you start your day determines how your day evolves and the success that you can have in any one part of your day, whether it's at work, with family, for self care. You've got to set it with the right intention. Just like a long term vision for your life, you have to create the design early on. Just like you want to have a great day, you have to set that design early in the morning. This applies even if you're not a morning person. I know many people are so called night owls, and there are few and far between people out there that operate better at night. But in reality, we all start our days, whether it's at 5 a.m. or 9 a.m., in a similar way, where we wake up with hopes and dreams of what it could be. So we have to set ourselves then. And getting there to accomplish your goals day by day, it requires creativity. It's not easy to say that you're going to have this beautiful morning ritual that unfolds the same way every day. That's not practical. Don't believe that BS that you see on social. People don't actually accomplish that stuff every single day. Doesn't matter. It's what matters is really that you have the intention, right? You have an aim for yourself, and you might target, for example, Monday through Friday work days per se, that you would start the day in a certain way. And it's not that you have to hit it 100% of the time, but your aim is that. Some days you need to adjust. Some days you need to sleep in longer. Some days you have a sick child. That stuff happens and you need to adapt, but your aim is still the same. I'd also think about in the mornings, try having what I call project focused deep work. So as your mornings unfold, and let me take myself as an example to make this real. I get up between 4:30 and 5 Monday through Friday. Some days I sleep in though, if my body needs it. I'll tell you that. Those are the days that I really focus on having my ritual to start. So I go through meditation, journaling, and a little bit of reading for a couple books that mean a lot to me. So I'll focus on those things. That's my ritual, plus good coffee. I've always got to have good coffee. And then I help get my wife and baby son out the door, and they're off. Then the next part of my morning, and it might not be a lot of time, but it is some amount of time, even if only 30 minutes, is having what I call project focused deep work, where you are in isolation. And if you want to know what deep work is, check out Cal Newport's work on this. It's beautifully said. When you have something meaningful in your life, like developing a new skill, writing a book, starting a podcast, creating a new business, doing something of importance to you, not to your employer, but to you, you need to set aside what I call project focused deep work, where you have a tangible aim. Maybe you're trying to build a website, or like I said, build that manuscript or write the book. You have to have a concentrated period of time, say it's 4 to 6 weeks, and an hour a day, maybe that's focused on making movement in a deep work style towards creating that outcome in your life. That's where to do it, is in your mornings. Don't try to fit it in later in the day. Your day is going to get overrun by a series of events and you're just going to feel behind. Okay. So that's the morning where you evolve with a ritual of things that make sense for you. And also make sure that you can find time for deep work of your own choosing that adds value to your personal life. Okay. Also, keep in mind that we have to keep, this might rub people the wrong way, but we have to keep corporate at bay. If we're working for a large company, for example, don't turn on email till 10 or 11 a.m. That may sound crazy, but if you start to create a boundary for yourself and push it more and more towards your liking, this is going to create a lot of good outcomes in your world. The more you can keep it at bay and have your mornings under your own control, the better. Okay. Then you have the evenings. So there's a lot that goes into the mornings, but the evenings can be a little simpler, a little messier, but you still need to make gains here. First and foremost, so you had a lot of gains in the morning, and then the midday happened, work of some sort. You have to have a shutdown procedure. I think this is kind of a radical approach. You'd see Cal Newport and you'd see Tim Ferriss, people like that would recommend this. But what's a way that you can tell your mind that I am done working for the day? Some people would say, close your laptop, step back from your desk and say, shutdown complete. And it's a verbal thing, but it's also your mind seeing and experiencing something crazy that says, oh, I'm done working for now. I can stop flipping open email and all that jazz. So figure out how to have a shutdown procedure that creates space where you can enter into your evening time. At that point, you want to be there for loved ones. You want to make time for self care. You might have extracurriculars that you're doing, right? You have to certainly eat well, good dinners in the evening. As we enter into this space, that time goes quickly, right? We're going to get to bed soon, but we have to have good, well lived evenings that are living a full life, right? We have to feel that way. Also, keep in mind screens. Screens, as you get in about 3 to 4 hours leading up to bed, can be extremely detrimental. It's the blue light. Go read the studies on this. But if you figure out how to minimize blue light, whether that's turning off your devices, which I know isn't always practical, at least doing something like putting on blue blocker glasses where you take the blue light and it's really strong, usually amber style lenses that block out the blue light from hurting melatonin production in your body, because melatonin is what gets your body ready for sleep, and blue light inhibits your ability to produce melatonin. And then you have to take artificial means of getting to sleep, whether it's melatonin supplements or NyQuil or something to that effect. You don't want to have to go down that light. You want to be able to get to bed at a reasonable time and actually make sure that you're sleeping really well. Don't get me started on Netflix. I mean, time and place, like you might have a show that you're binging. There's nothing wrong with that, but don't let it overtake your life. Make sure that you are using your evenings wisely and that you're going to feel good looking back on how you're spending your time. As you close your day, a very simple but life changing thing can be write down 3 things to get done the next day. Get those 3 things done. Maybe write it down by the edge of your bed on a notepad and bring that down with you in the morning. Those are the 3 things to focus on. Ideally, one of them is more important than all the rest. And that's the big thing that you can make progress on starting in the morning. I know this is a lot. And I would just say, just close the day in one important thing. You need to get amazing sleep. You must. If you need the science behind this, check out the book, Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. If we don't sleep well, if we don't pay attention to the cues our body is giving us, our energy, our creativity, everything falls down rather dramatically too. We have to sleep well. Most adults need to be in the 7 to 8 hours time frame. And if you track your sleep like I do, I have this Fitbit I use now, and it gives me more insight as far as deep sleep, restorative sleep, all these sorts of little cues. Like I can find out that I might be in bed for 8 hours, but I only really slept well for 5.5. And that's really disturbing. So I take those cues and say, well, maybe I need to go to bed 20 minutes earlier. Maybe I can't watch a show tonight because my health matters more. I need to get better sleep so that I can live a more quality day. And that quality day can create more quality outcomes in my life. That's the trade-off we have to make. All right. So I know we've gone through a lot with this, the AM and the PM bookends. There's a lot that you can fit in. You have to experiment on what works for you. And you might be pushing back right now. You might say, "Oh, I can't do that. I've got too much going on. The mornings start too quickly. I've got too much in my midday. I have so many family activities." Well, great. I know it's not easy. It's really hard. It is really hard to master your mornings and master your nights. And mastering isn't perfection, it's your version of mastering. Okay. And I'd ask you, if you push back on me, how badly do you want it? How badly do you want more freedom in your life, to feel uncaged, to create the outcomes, the flexibility, the autonomy in your world? How bad do you want it? If you want it bad enough, you have to master your bookends of your day. Simply said, that is where you create freedom. So you could let this play out over the next decades exactly like it is. You can predict the types of outcomes. You can sense the types of feelings you'll have, the regrets you might have several decades from now. Or you can start getting 1% better through discipline in mastering your bookends day after day. Trust me, it gets easier. It becomes like a ritual. You begin to love it. You begin to create time for it. And then it's a non-negotiable. And some days it slips. Totally get it. But generally, that's your aim. Day after day, that's your aim to master the bookends of your day. Eventually, this stacks. This is a 1% better type thing. I know some people are tired of that idea, but it's true. We don't get better magically in a big swing overnight. It takes small incremental changes until our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors become more on autopilot with all these things. So conquer your morning and do what you can at night. But mastering your bookends is where it all happens. I hope this helped. We'll talk soon.
Hey, Matt here. Thanks for listening to Uncage Yourself. For show notes and more content like this, head over to uncageyourself.fm. And if you liked what you heard, I'd appreciate you leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Until next time, be well, my friend.